Namaste, TEDxConstanta in Romania. Politicians care less about you than you care about them. Politicians care less about you than you care about them. If I talk about the history of political marketing, there was a story of 3-minute men who used to go around telling people and used to propagate the fact that the war was good. This kind of a propaganda was used at the war times. Thereafter, this person, who was also known as the pioneer of marketing, Edward Bernays, thought that how about we use propaganda at the time of peace as well? That is when all the products which were sold earlier just by means of information, now the marketeers were toying with customers' mind. They were trying to tell them things and focusing more on the branding. It's only later that they realized that perception also matters about how people really perceive your product. When all of this really started happening, the whole product marketing was something that came up. Now you must be wondering that why am I talking to you about product marketing? Because the only key difference between product marketing and political marketing is about the frequency of purchase. You vote for your politicians after 4, 5, 6 years, depending on the country where you are. But to be able to stay relevant, they really have to occupy a mind share in your head. They have to continually keep influencing you. And today I am going to give you lots of examples of how is it that they manage to do that. I come from India. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi was elected in 2014. When he was elected, he told us a narrative to 1.3 billion Indians, which they really believed in. This narrative was about his life story, in which he told us that how he became a prime minister from being a normal tea seller at a railway station. So a person who's a tea seller at a railway station has become Prime Minister of India. And this is what politicians often use. They tell you a story of self, story of us, story of now. They create a whole narrative in which there is a hero, there is a conflict, there is resolution, there is fear, there is villain, there is hope. And all of these elements are very carefully stitched together to be able to build a story or a narrative. And you and I know that very well, that how well do we as humans perceive stories. We love stories. So that is one of the strategies that our politicians use extremely well. We all know Donald Trump, don't we? And when he was elected, we were all very startled. Now I'll tell you something, another fact which is extremely startling and it kind of shook up America was the fact that he was that one person, the only president in the Republican Party who got more white working class votes than any other presidential candidate since 1980. So how did he manage to do that? Ladies and gentlemen, he evoked 4 key emotions in your head. And I'm just going to tell you about those 4 emotions. The first emotion that he evoked was the emotion of fear. He told us that Americans need to be very, very fearful of immigration, job losses, and of Mexicans. He spoke often about building a wall, so he managed to evoke a fear. The second emotion that he built in our head was that of anger. His narrative or his story was often reiterating towards the fact that how the working class or white men for the longest time have suffered because of neoliberalism. He made people very, very angry with the kind of vitriolic remarks that he often made during his campaigns. And when I talk about fear and anger, these two emotions are so strong that they have the capability to shut down your amygdala. Amygdala is a part of your brain which, when it's hijacked, your response to a very normal situation is often blown out of proportion, if I explain it to you in layman terms. So you feel very, very emotional, and there is a hijack of your rational thinking abilities. Now, the third emotion that he evoked was that of hope. Hope that the previous American heritage or culture will be restored. The fact that we want to make America great again. That's what he spoke about, and people really believed in that. And finally, the fourth emotion that he evoked was that of pride. He made people believe that the only time they can feel proud as a nation would be after they elect him. He will restore that faith and pride in the nation. And when I'm talking about pride, it also reminds me of the fact that in so many other countries, so many politicians often go to war or annex a country, and that also kind of sometimes evokes a lot of pride in a lot of people. Another such example is of Vladimir Putin, how he does it with Russians, especially when Crimea was annexed and Ukraine went to war. So these are the four emotions that were particularly used by Trump, and these four emotions really influence a voter's mind. So emotional messaging really plays a very, very big role. Now, what if I talk about the fact that, and I tell you that take control again? Does it ring a bell in your head? Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about United Kingdom. We all know about Brexit and what really happened. Again, the whole story was built there about how the UK is not benefiting from European Union. Again, a lot of fear was invoked in people's head. They were all brought together. There was a whole full-fledged campaign that was run in which people were told about all possible negative things that are there by being a part of EU instead of telling them about the benefits of being there. This idea was initially coined by David Cameron in 2013, but only it was in 2016 when everybody came together to start sort of a movement about Brexit, where the entire population rallied, and you could see it on the streets of United Kingdom. Everywhere people were talking about Brexit. Now, can you see how one particular incident can mobilize an entire population? This is also known as movement marketing. We've seen many such movements across the world, whether it was the Arab Spring or movement or crusade against corruption or anything. Movements are often fought for something or they are fought against something. And politicians have this power of creating certain movements and then rising from that movement as a hero or your leader. So movement marketing is one such tactic which is really deployed by the politicians. Another thing that they really do is they hit fast, they hit hard, and they keep hitting. This is one of the techniques that is often used in kind of demolishing your opponent and ensuring that nobody is there to question your hegemony. As I'm speaking to you, one example that really comes into my head is again Donald Trump and what he did to Hillary Clinton. He questioned her and he attacked her on various parameters. He spoke about her conflict of interests, the usage of her private emails. He spoke about how she is incapable and will endanger servicemen who are outside the country. He spoke about her health. Basically, he spoke about a plethora of these things to ensure that the country does not choose Hillary Clinton. And this happens in almost every country, where what a politician does is they really proactively attack their competitor or the opposition party to ensure that they occupy a very negative mind space in their head. And one of the best ways of doing this is through running negative campaigns or negative ads where they will talk about your fudgy political history, how dodgy your background is, about what kind of a political failures you've had in your career. So proactive attacks are one such way in which politicians try and be heroes in your head. And this is something that is very, very commonly used by the politicians. Now, if I talk about communication by politicians, let me tell you that they are fantastic communicators. If I give you certain examples, you may have heard of things like Yes We Can by Barack Obama, Friends, Roman Countrymen, which was coined by William Shakespeare, Blood, Sweat and Tears, General Beaton said that. There are many, many, many such more examples which you could possibly think of in terms of terminologies that your politicians use to bring the whole country together. And they do so by being fantastic communicators. In fact, a lot of times they will also conceal a lot of important facts and tell you information as much as it is necessary for you to know. And in doing so, they deploy a lot of spin doctrine techniques. There's a lot that goes into creating a politician, whether it's about public relations campaign, managing media extremely well, having fantastic body language to ensure that they sound and they look right to you, and the way they dress up. All of these things are the elements which go into making of a wonderful politician. So these are some of the ways in which politicians are influencing your mind, and they can make you think of anything that they want to, whether it's through storytelling, whether it's through emotional messaging, whether it's through movement marketing, whether it is through proactive attacks, or via being great communicators. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case here. Now it is for you to decide if you want to care about politicians as much as you cared about them earlier. Thank you very much. Shukriya.